Hello everyone, I am Dr. Vibha Rathod from the Department of Humanities, BSSS College, Bhopal. Today I am going to take the topic Contract of Agencies, which is related to business of law. So let us start the topic, and I think that before this topic in previous lectures you have read about the special type of contracts. In that, first you have read about guarantee and indemnity. Next, you have read about bailment and pledge. This is the last topic, that is agency. So let us start the contract of agency. So before that, my question is, what is contract of agency? When an agent does not act on his own behalf but act as on behalf of his principal. He either represents his principal in a transactions with third parties or performs an act for principal. Let us go for an example. A appoints B to purchase some property on his behalf. Here A is principal and B is agent. So the relationship between A and B is called agency. So our today's topic is contract of agency. What is agency? What is principal? What do we understand by agent? See, these all things we are going to study in today's lecture. So before starting this topic, let us go for the legal definition of contract of agencies. According to section 182 of the Indian Contract Act defines agent and principal. So the definition of agent is, it means a principal employed to do any act for another or to represent in dealing with the third person. This is an agent. Now, who is the principal? Principal means a person for whom such act is done or who is so represented. That is principal. Now, essentials of agencies, or we can say the features of agency. What are the essentials? The first essential is principal is liable for the acts of agent which are lawful and within the scope of agent's authority. The contracts entered into by the agent on behalf of the principal have the same legal consequences as if these contracts were made by the principal himself. Now the question arises, who may employ an agent? Section 183 says that any person may employ an agent if he is of the age of majority and he is of sound mind. Next question, who may be an agent? So section 184 says that any person may become an agent, but no person who is not of the age of majority and sound mind can become an agent. So as to be responsible to the principal according to the provision in that behalf herein contained. Section 185 lays that consideration is necessary for creation of an agency. That is a very, very important part that you should keep in your mind. Next and very important topic, that is the creation of agency or how the agencies are created. So these agencies or the creation of agency we can divide in 4 categories. First one is by express authority. Second one is by implied authority. Third one is by ratification, and the last one is by operation of law. Here, as I told you about the second division, that is by implied authority, it again divided in 3 categories. That is by estoppel, by holding out and by necessity. So these 3 divisions of by implied authority is very, very important. Next, the first heading, the creation of agency by express. Let us go in detail. A contract of agency can be made orally or in written, and you all know that when we are signing anything and when we are doing anything in written, it's worth it. So, example of a written contract of agency is the power of attorney that gives a right to an agency to act on behalf of its principal in accordance with the terms and conditions therein. A power of attorney can be general or given many powers to the agent or some special powers giving authority to the agent or transacting a single act. Second is implied agency. As I told you, this implied agency is divided in 3 categories. So first let us talk about what is implied agency. Implied agency arises when there is any conduct, the situation of parties or is necessary for the case. Example, A owns a shop in Meerut and he himself lives in Delhi. A visits his shop occasionally. The shop is managed by B, who is in the habit of ordering goods from C in the name of A for the purpose of the shop and of paying for them out of A's fund and with A's knowledge. So B has an implied authority from A to order goods in the name of A for the purpose of shop. So this is implied agency. Implied agency divided in three: agency by estoppel, that is section 237. Next is agency of holding out, and third one is agency of necessity, that is section 188 to 189. What is agency of estoppel? The term estoppel is a legal term and means that a person who has let another person believe that a certain state of affairs exists is not later permitted to deny the state of affairs if the other person has acted to his determinant in reliance of that state of affairs. He is estoppeled or prevented. Let's take one example. In the case of, it is a very famous case, the case of Pianta versus Macro and Sons Private Limited. It is the case of 1925. A trader who sold a wife a diamond ring on credit cannot claim its cost from the husband or if the wife does not pay for it. Therefore, in the laws of agency, if a person by words or by conduct represents to the world that someone is his agent, he cannot later deny that agency if third parties had dealt with that person if he was the agent. Next is agency by holding out. Why it is called holding out? It is a corollary on the first rule. In the case of agency by estoppels, the role of the principal is passive, while is the case of agency by holding out, so the role of the principal is rather than active and somewhat affirmative or positive. Let's take one example of it. A allows his servant habitually to buy goods on credit from local dealer and pays for them. One day he terminated the services of his servant without any notice to the dealer. The servant purchased goods worth ₹1,000 on credit as usual after his termination. A is liable for the purchase made by his servant. That is holding out. Now next and very important, that is the agent of necessity. So here some unforeseen events can create an agency and the agency relationship can arise even against the intentions and wishes of the parties concerned. The object of the law in these circumstances is to recognize the inability of the agent to communicate with the principal. In the context, commercial necessity imposes on the agent the duty to act in good faith in the interest of all the parties. The legal rules relating to agents of necessity to seek to achieve common sense in day-to-day human life. The very famous example I think you all have read and it's given in books also and some texts also. Example is A sent a horse by railway. On its arrival at the destination, there was no one to receive that horse. The railway company is bound to take responsible steps to keep the horse alive. Was an agent of necessity of A. So this is agency of or agent of necessity. Next, creation of agency, it is the agency of ratification. As per section 196 of Indian Contract Act, agency by ratification is said arises when a person on whose behalf the acts are done without his knowledge or without his authority. There is one illustration. Steve bought apples on behalf of Mark without his permission or knowledge. Mark later sold these apples to another person. This act of Mark impliedly ratifies the purchase by Steve. So that is the agency by ratification. Ratification is not allowed in some following cases. These cases are like, number one, when the person's knowledge of the facts of the case is defective. That is, he only half knows things that he is ratifying to. Second one is an act done on behalf of another person which would have the effect of injuring or harming the person or violating any of his rights if the act was done with his authority. Next is agency by operation of law. Agency by operation of law arises where the law treats one person as an agent of another. So these all were the creation of agencies. Now next topic which I am going to take, that is the kinds of agents. Different kinds of agents are there. So agents can classified in various ways according to the point of view adopted. So the first agent is sub-agent. Sub-agent according to section 191 is a person whom the original agent employs in the business of the agency and who under the control of original agent, that is sub-agent. Second one is substituted agent. Substituted agents are different from sub-agents according to section 194. It provides that substituted agents are sub-agents but are in fact agents of the principal. For example, A directs B, who is solicitor, to sell his estate by auction to employ an auctioneer for the purpose. B names C, an auctioneer, to conduct the sale. In such a situation, C is not sub-agent but is agent for the sale. That is the difference between sub-agent and substituted agent. Third one is special agents. A special agent is also known as a specific or particular agent. Such agent appointed to perform a particular work or to represent his principal in particular transactions only. But there is one thing, as soon as the said period lapses, the agency stands terminated. Fourth one is general agents. This type of agents has a general authority to do everything in course of his agency and he has to perform all the acts in the interest of his principal. Thus, a general agent is one that has authority to do all acts connected with the business of his principals. Fifth one is universal agent. Universal agent has a universal or an unlimited power to act on behalf of his principal. For example, when a person leaves his country for a long time, he may appoint his son or his wife or his friend as his universal agent to act on his behalf of him in his absence. That is a universal agent. Co-agents. When a principal appoints two or more persons, agents, jointly or severally, such agents are known as co-agents. So their authority is joint when nothing is mentioned about the exercise of their authority. Seventh is auctioneers. An auctioneer is a mercantile agent. So here we can call him a mercantile agent also, who is appointed to sell goods on behalf of the principal, that is the seller, for this function. So an auctioneer gets a reward in form of a commission. An auctioneer conducts auction on behalf of a seller as he is primarily an agent of the seller. However, after the sale, he also becomes of the purchaser who gives the highest bid. So an auctioneer has no authority to sell the goods or to sell the goods of his principal by private contract or contracts. Besides above explained agents, there are some other different types of other agents as brokers, bankers, clearing agents, underwriter, estate agents, etc. So they also play an important role and perform various functions for and or behalf of their principal. Duties of an agent. What are the duties? So these all duties are defined from section 211 to 221. Few I have taken, as section 211 says that duty to conduct the principal's business. Second, section 212 to act with reasonable care and skill. Section 213 says to render proper accounts. Section 214 says to communicate difficulties. So like that, different duties are allotted to the agents. Next, with duties, some rights these agents are also having. So what are their rights? Section 219 is saying that right to receive remuneration. This is important. An agent is entitled to his agreed remuneration or commission. Section 221, that is right of lien. Lien means right to retain the property or goods till the dues are paid. In the absence of any contract to the contrary, an agent is entitled to retain goods, papers and other properties. So these all were some rights. There is one or more right that comes under section 222, that is right of indemnity. So if agent suffers any loss in discharge of his duties, he has a right to indemnity for such loss. The employer of an agent is bound of indemnity him against the consequences of all lawful acts done by such agent in exercise of the authority conferred upon him. Then section 225, it is talking about right of compensation. An agent is entitled to claimed compensation for the injuries suffered as a consequences or want of skill of the principal. Next, as we have discussed the right of agent, now we are going to discuss the rights of principals. The number one right of the principal is right to repudiate the transaction. Second is to claim any resultant benefit from agency. Third one is right to recover damages. Fourth one is to resist agent's claim for indemnity. So these all were the four main rights of the principal. Though I tried to cover so many topics under this contract of agency, but still many explanations, many cases are related to this contract of agency. Now I am going to take the last topic of this, that is the termination of agency. So what is the termination of agency? It comes under section 201 to 210 of the Indian Contract Act of 1872. It defines termination of agency. Termination of agency is defined on the basis of these points. Number one, by the act of parties. Number two, by the act of operation laws. So these two are important in the termination of agency. So now I am going to explain the first one, by the act of parties. How the termination of agency takes place by the act of parties. So here few points. Number one point, by an agreement between the parties. Agency may be terminated at any time by a mutual agreement between the principal and the agent. Second point is by the principal revoking his authority. So the principal may revoke the agency at any time by giving notice to the agent. Third one is by the agent renouncing the business of agency. So renunciation means withdrawing from responsibility as agent. So these all were the points which were under by the act of parties. Now the second which I discussed, that is by operation of law. So under operation of law there is one point, that is by the business of agency being completed. So agency comes to an end after the completion of the work for which the agency was created. Next point is by either the principal or agent dying or becoming of unsound mind. Section 209 implies on agent duty to terminate the contract of agency on the death of the principal. Next point is by the principal being adjudicated and insolvent under the provisions of any act for the time being in force for relief of insolvent debtors. Last one is on expiry of fixed period. So if the agency is created for a particular time and it is terminated after the expiry time, means the time is already over, so that comes under on expiry of fixed period. So students, under this topic contract of agencies, I tried to cover variations, I tried to cover the types of agencies, I tried to cover the rights of agent, I tried to cover the rights of principal, and lastly I have taken the termination of agency. All about this contract of agency I discussed. Now in next lecture we'll meet with the new topic, that is sales of goods. Thank you very much for patient listening. Have a good day.